they don't have words for colors. They say, you know, this is the color of grass, you know, like they don't. So how do you teach this? Maybe those might be a little easier, but
I think just knowing those traits from their language is how you can better teaching and know exactly what it is that you need to focus on with that more. I think I don't know.
So that means that as like if we are to be good ELL teachers, you have to be really informed about their language.
Yeah.
Not only their language, but
Every
their culture.
teacher needs to though.
Yes.
Can you imagine being an ELL student in like a math class and having to do a word problem that talks about different colored objects or something, you know what I mean? And if you don't have this concept of color and you're learning probability, like not only are you having to learn probability, but you have this idea of color that you're like, I don't, like, what is that? You're not going to be able to do that problem.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, I think shows, like, the need to, like, study language acquisition and, like, teaching ELL students, like, for all teachers, because you think about how many teachers also don't even have the experience of what it's like to kind of, I guess, learn new language and learn all, like, those concepts and the difference, like, what it's like, and so they just have no, and not that that's gonna be perfect, but at least, like, it'll give you a sense, maybe, of what it's like, and, so it's just, I don't feel like many teachers currently are thinking through, once again, what we were talking about, the cultural assumptions that they make.
Yeah, my fear is that, so Giselle and I were in the 432, is it?
Mm-hmm.
The one right before this one, or the one that focuses more on English,
Yeah.
and whatnot, the
It's
big
for
grammar and
432.
The hard one, the super hard
There
and
we go,
long.
yeah.
You have to do one.
So, and then one of the things we had to do was look at language and look at like culture and whatnot. And one of the presentations, we had to also like look at everyone's individual presentations, right?
A group of people.
Yeah. And one of them was on Spanish, and they decided to like post a video on culture, like Latino culture, and it was so painful. And so what my fear is that, you know, they will come out of these institutions and then they'll think that they know everything about that culture, and I feel like that can be even more hurtful.
Yes.
than not having any assumptions.
Yeah.
Or
Especially because
coming in with assumptions.
you know that video focused on mainstream Latino culture from like the city.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't acknowledge the fact that there are large groups of indigenous peoples in Mexico, huge groups that are often the ones that immigrate. You know.
Which we talked about. That was our topic.
Yeah.
And like, and you know, we said something. We're like, yeah, you know, that's actually not good.
And we got attacked.
You know,
by everyone in our group.
So these are not even open to, you know.
I mean,
because they did the research, and so now they know better.
And see,
but that's
like,
the problem.
Two classes of lingua, you know.
Yeah. I know.
Did you make that video?
Oh God. Yeah. They're like, I took 2 classes. No, but for real, I mean, it shows like that attitude's harmful, and like so much of this, I think, is just discussing like the issues like brought up in this article, and just like these big picture issues that just you need to ask these questions and realize how much you don't know and how much you maybe can't know in order to even like begin to teach effectively. And it just makes me wonder, like, how are these concepts integrated, because I bet they're not, like, into how a lot of like what people are learning about language acquisition. And like, I know there was no like talking about this problematic part of Chomsky's theories in my 2 language classes.
They adore him.
Yeah, they're like, it was basically taught to be fact, and
Is that in English 436 or whatever it is?
yeah, and 370, even though that one's a more critical.
Yeah, I'm in 370 right now, and we haven't really talked about Chomsky at all.
It's more the book.
But okay.
Yeah, and 370 was a critical class. 436 not so much.
I mean, I think, like, you know, in anything like social justice, like, there's always like a basis when you come in and you discuss like theory, and you discuss how really, you know, theories aren't everything, and your understanding in whatever experience you have from this class, or whatever, is not everything, and that your learning is going to be progressive forever, right?
Yeah.
And
Not linear.
I feel like it's hard to do that with linguistics or like language, just because there are these set things that, you know, we're supposedly learning about. But I think, I guess, and this is obviously my only ELL class, so I don't really know what else exists in other ELL classes, but I think there should definitely be a basis of understanding theory and how to work outside of theories, and that we can actually think outside of theories too, and we can think outside of the context of whatever is within this class, and that there is a possibility to just throw theories away and have to work from the beginning, you know?
Well, and that's the thing. Theories are constantly being rewritten and thrown away, and you know, but there seems like, even though that happens, there still seems to be this idea that if it's a theory, you know,
And it's published on.
and it's published, then it has to be true, and you can't, like, there's so much pushback against, like, getting rid of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and we're so taught to think like that in institutions like this. We're so taught to think that there is a right way of thinking and a wrong way of thinking.
And
that
then it's one size fit all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
no, that literally, yeah, exactly.
I guess that's where thinking critically through it all, you know, because not accepting it all as facts, as you were all saying. So
Yeah.
being critical pedagogue.
Yeah, because I mean, part of like what you talked about, like with your other class, it also makes me think like how sometimes when we're even trying, like we're supposedly trying to like learn about like cultural differences, a lot of the time it leads to like basically thinking that if you research it, like yes, good to recognize, but they think like if you go research another culture, then you'll know it, or like you can actually make claims about it, and I mean it's like it reinforces these like and like these oppressive, like the act of doing that is not anti-oppressive, like it becomes oppressive. So
Dang it. So how do we decolonize that?
well, that's a golden question, isn't it?
Well then, like, I'm wondering then if the best way to get around this problem is to research it. I'm wondering if it actually might be better to talk to the students.
Gosh, and yeah, how do you avoid then, like, also tokenizing?
I know!
Like, it's, I mean, I think part of, like, the most important thing is just recognizing that there's a lot you don't know, and a lot you, like, maybe can't know, and, like, learn how to interact with that in a very experiential way.
Well, I think, you know, you need a balance. Like, you should do your homework.
Yeah,
But
for
you
sure.
should definitely not think that because you've read it, you know, that's my student right there, you know?
Yeah, or others have the right to, they have to educate you.
Or that because
Right.
you studied the language, now all of a sudden you know everything about the culture.
Yeah, no, so I'm thinking, like, the language, you research it yourself. Because
Yeah.
these students are not equipped, you
Come
know,
back
at
from
least
Spain.
most students, you know, the young ages that we will be teaching don't know, you know, how to talk about a language in linguistic terms that we might understand. And it's certainly not the responsibility to teach us that. But I think, so we just leave the part of getting to know our students.
Oh, sorry, I just was saying, like, time-wise.
So I have to go to get my key.
How long?
We're at 38:45 and it's 8:22. Yeah. Well, at least, gosh, we get into it. We talk about good things.
We're at 38 minutes?
Yeah.
Dang!
If we do 2 more minutes, we're good.
Okay, so let me finish what I was saying.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yes.
so sorry.
So, no, it's okay. So I'm thinking, you know, like the best approach might be to like, okay, we research the language ourselves, and then we just get to know our student as a human, you know? And like if
Not as a
there's
case study?
anything, yeah, not as a case study, not as like, you know, and like if anything cultural comes up, just be aware, you know, that it will come up, that, you know, like things, you know, to try to give as much like diverse examples as you can, try to be aware of like cultural things, and you know, it's obviously going to be really hard for us to try to get rid of our cultural biases, and we're not always going to realize, you know, we're going to be thinking like, no, everybody has to know this, and like, even though we've thought about it, it may actually be something that we don't, you know, so.
Yeah. No,
Good
I
rainbow.
feel like everything that people are saying is like really resonating.
So, anything else? Favorite part of the readings?
My favorite parts were just the actual examples of like when the Piraja people were like interacting with the yeah.
They were really funny.
They are funny.
I mean, we did have that other like mini definitions of acculturation versus assimilation too.
What was that from?
We had like a mini 2-page thing to read about acculturation versus assimilation, which I thought was really interesting. Basically what it is assimilation is losing your culture eventually, and acculturation is kind of like mixing two cultures, which is it really made me think of Mrs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just, and like while we're learning this, like we need to know like what that difference is and how we avoid that assimilation piece.
I think that we should strive for acculturation.
What?
I think that we should strive for acculturation.
Yeah, exactly. And avoid assimilation. Yeah, it kind of.
I hate assimilation. I hate assimilation at all costs.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's a good note to.
Okay, bye friends.
See ya.
Bye.